Hello, everyone, and welcome to the eighth video part of this Building the Ultimate SharePoint Online Modern Intranet series. I'm joined back today with my co-host Sebastien. How are you doing, Seb?
Doing amazing, Vlad. What about yourself?
Oh, I'm doing great. And in this video, what are we going to talk about? I
Well,
think something that me and you had the luck and bad luck of working with too often in Quebec.
absolutely. Being in a fully bilingual environment here in Montreal, where we speak both French and English, we had to fight a little bit around multilingual in the past couple of years, with good and bad solutions through times. But now, today, we want to kind of give you a little bit of a hint on how you can turn your existing intranet into a multilingual intranet without too much effort, but also with a great experience that the modern SharePoint offers today.
And I think if you listen to anybody in the multilingual space, Seb was a product owner of a dedicated multilingual product for SharePoint on premises back in the day, since it's not a new topic. It's
It- It's definitely not a new topic, and that's something that's going to stick around, right? When organizations have legal obligations to to provide content in all languages that they can, well, you know what, they kind of have to support these capabilities. But now that it's included out of the box in the SharePoint Online and Communication Sites toolbox, it's great that there's a huge move forward with these features.
and I think we'll show you it's easy enough to do that there's really no excuse in not doing it. That's our goal. Uh,
Absolutely agree.
Before we go in a demo, just a quick note for those of you that have been following around the series. Thank you very much for still sticking around. Really appreciate it. For those of you that have just found this video as the first one, just wanted to let you know this is the eighth video in a series on how to build the ultimate SharePoint Online intranet. So if that's your goal, you can go start at the beginning and see how we got to where we are now. But that's enough slides. Let's go back to our beautiful uh, Habs themed uh, site. And I don't like this test approval news that I did last video. I should have added an image because the red is too bright for me. Makes me think error. Okay, let me just zoom in. Okay, now 125 here, like that should be fine. And now, first thing we have to do is enable multilingual because right now your intranet will probably in English or in whatever default language you created it. So what I will do is I will go in here at the settings, I will go into site information, and then I will go in view all site settings. After that, we'll go into beautiful classic experience that still didn't change much over the years. And I will go into language settings. Great. After this loads, the page is pretty simple so far. One big switch box to turn on. Enable pages and news to be translated into multiple languages. I will turn this on for now. And the second language we will add, it will be French because I think that's the only language that both me and Seb can feel confident to create content in. I can do Romanian as well and a tiny bit of Spanish, but especially on the Romanian side, I'm sure Seb doesn't trust me. So I'll keep it to French.
Please.
Uh, I can also add my translators here. So this can be really cool for an admin. You can add the different translators for that language. Carey Price might not be the best French speaking example, but that's the first account in this demo environment. So I'll put Carey Price here and let me add Seb as well. Great. I will save this and let's see what changes once all of this is saved. Okay, great. It shows as saved. Again, I'll just wait a few seconds, then I'll go to my tech landing page. Something appeared for me on the right here, which is the language switcher. what you will see right now, you're going to say, Vlad, you just added French, but why does only English show up? And that's because you need to manually translate each and every page in that language for it to work. So, should we? I want to start with a news first before we go to the homepage because that can be a bit more complicated.
Yep.
So, what are we going to go? Let's go to this one. I will edit the page. We should have probably taken off the approvals, but that's another topic. We'll Seb, open up Power Automate to approve my changes in the back. I think
I
I still
will.
left you as an approval there.
Awesome. I'll
What
do
I,
that.
what I will do is, you see right now, I also have a new button here called Translation that I can click on. So I will click on Translation, and then I can either create it for a specific language. Of course, right now I only have French, so clicking Creating for all languages or only for French here would give me the same result. But this is useful if you have more languages inside of your intranet and you just want to create the page for all. Really important to remember is that SharePoint does not support any automatic translation of your content. So I will click create here for French, and it will allow me to go view the draft for the French language here. What you will notice in the URL, it'll go into site pages, and then it actually created a folder called FR. I can actually maybe open it in a new tab here to show it to you. Like, see? You see, I have the new FR folder. So the way that multilingual works in SharePoint, for every page or news that you translate, it will go in the language folder. So right now I still only have the Contoso Mark 8 one. And if, let's say, I also added Romanian there, you would have an RO folder for Romanian where any page you translate into Romanian words would be. Also, really important, once you click that create translation, those pages are now separated. If you do a change in the English one, it will not reflect in the French one. So they're now standalone pages that Microsoft basically links in the backend with a little bit of Microsoft magic. Probably a globally unique ID as a hidden property, but we'll just call it some Microsoft magic that keeps them together. You'll also see the title. It kind of gives me a reminder. Translate into French. Contoso Mark 8. So it kind of has a reminder like, hey, this page is not ready yet. You should translate it into French. So I'll click on edit. So what would this be, Seb?
Yeah, I think you're on the right track there. Well, yeah, that
Nouveau or nouvelle?
nouvelle.
Nouvelle, thank you. I wanted to see if you're still awake.
I'm awake. I'm definitely awake.
And we'll assign this to Seb, just to make Seb happy here. There we go. Great. So I added a title. I would, of course, need to translate the content as well. I'll just put a French here, just again for this demo, for us to remember that this is the French content. And then I will submit for approval. Of course, we added content approval in the previous video, so I'll just do Seb approve, click on
Mhm.
submit, and then Seb will go press the right button in Power Automate and approve it for me.
It's coming up.
It should
Approve.
be done.
Confirm.
Approve.
It's happening. It should have been approved now.
There we go. It's published. So now, because this piece of content, this page exists in both English and French, I can go switch between the English and French one. If I go to tech landing right now, it will take a few seconds because remember, this is actually no, we haven't created a French page yet. So it will take more than a few seconds because you need to create a French page before. So what I'll do again, I'll go into translation here. I will create it in French, draft saved. I can change any of the content that I have. You can see right away because I'm in French now, it actually picked the title in French of that news, voir le monde de nouvelles perspectives instead of English.
Yeah.
But the rest of things, such as, for example, the titles of web parks and things like that, they haven't changed at all. So I would still need to go modify those. By default, how the process works in the back, if there is a news that has the version in French, it will show me the content in French. If it doesn't, it will show me the content in English. So you really need to make sure that you translate all of the content. And this is something where you can actually customize the Power Automate flow that we have seen in the previous video to kind of add a reminder. Hey, make sure you translate this content. Okay, so I just wanted to make sure we have it. What I will do is, let me go here. I will French. I'll just put nouvelle, which is
That's
news in French, just so we can easily kind of distinguish them. Again, Seb, I will need your approval here on this news. It shouldn't be too long.
it's coming up. Approve.
By the time I
And
do a refresh, it should already be done, published. So you can see, and this is the easy way we'll see, we have nouvelle in French. But if I go into English, I have news, and I see this news in English. But again, really important, those pages are now fully independent. So if in English I go and I actually delete this section, or even I'll just delete this web part, for example, I'll go submit for approval. I'll just submit it. My French page will not be impacted. And that's something that I always want people to remember. Those pages are now completely standalone. It will start you off when you do it the first time, but that's it. It will not stick after. Okay, what else would we need to modify? Probably the navigation, right? Because we want to make sure that the navigation also follows the language. So if I go inside any topic, so the departments label, or let's say I'll go into, let me click cancel here, into human resources, you'll see I have the display name in English, but then I also have the translation here. So I can click on translations, and then for all of the languages that I enabled, I'll have it here. What should I put? So I'll put ressources humaines.
yep, there you go.
Great. So I have it in French as well. I'll click on save. So now it's human resources. I will go in French, and now it will be, come on, refresh. Oh, is it because it will automatically get it from my browser?
It is.
Uh,
That's actually a very
Let
good
me check if it's
question.
just sometimes it might be I go network here. Let me go into disable cache just to make sure. Oh, it put me back in English. Let me go in French. Oh, of course, I'm on this one. I'm in French. Yeah, it might get it from the actual.
Yeah, which actually would make sense because your nav, you want to have it the same nav everywhere you go. So in that case, if you are, yeah, that's what would happen right here.
And this is because it's the hub nav. Probably if I go and I think we have disabled the
Yep,
site nav, right?
yep.
So that is in, where is it? Site, where change the look. I'll just go enable it. 1 second. No, this is the title. Uh, Play site navigation. And probably need to
You're gonna
do a
have to
quick
reload. Yep.
refresh. There we go. Let me edit this because I'm not sure if it actually applies to the site and the nav. Probably you'd choose another title for that, but it's okay. I will click on save. No, so it really keeps it depending on your browser language, which is kind of cool. I guess it makes sense for the users. And if you're a tester, create a new Chrome profile in French.
Yep.
Seb, you speak French way more often than I do. Would you have one to show or no?
Yes, I'm actually trying it out right
Right now, okay.
now. So just give me one second. Actually, it works really nicely. Let me um,
Well, share your
share
screen and
my
I'll
screen.
put your screen up there.
Awesome. It should be there
My
now.
my screens are all my computers are all ENUS, so Seb can probably show this a lot better. There we go. We can see the Kisum Nu.
Exactly there, and then but not human resources, which is quite interesting.
I wonder if it's
That
some
might
of
be a
the.
caching thing right here because we can actually and here you see that everything is in French now because it detects it, and now we see that it should be human resources because we actually see it here
Oh yeah, you see the
in the
Sofimene.
menu exactly. Uh, but it might be that the menu takes a little bit of time to refresh. If
That's the like the
if I
double-edged sword of caching.
oh there you
It's
go.
the
It
Sofimene.
actually updated it. But it might take a while. But keep in mind that this is something that you add at the beginning of the life of your intranet, but then afterwards, it's not something that you're going to have to do on a daily basis. So you're absolutely good to go with this. So now you see that when you go here, even like the languages, they have their own, like they are presented in the current native language. Now, when I go to English, here everything else stays in English, basically here, because that's the or sorry, everything else stays in French because that's the language I'm used to. But the content here in that case is actually pretty interesting because there's a lot of the content has been translated, but for example, the Contoso here, this has not been
Yeah,
translated, so you
you
can see
actually
it
see
here.
one more news than me because remember of the audiencing. So you
Yes,
can look at the Contoso Mark 8 at the top. If you go to the top banner as well, go back one. I think to the yeah.
yeah,
See, there is in English.
exactly, and it sticks in English right now. And then same thing I did earlier, I can go to French and see it in French now.
Awesome. So this is it. It's always easier when you have multiple people in multiple languages testing
Yes.
it for those exact reasons. But this is how easy it is to enable the technical side of having your multilingual intranet, really having it there. The big challenge for me is not a technical part, is actually getting people, getting your communications department to translate all the content and making sure everything is available and up to date. That is a way bigger challenge than the tech part, which is a welcome change compared to before, where the tech part was a nightmare to do. So I'd rather have it like that. Anything else we missed, Seb? We did the nav, we did the content. That's about it for multilingual. What else would we need?
There's also options where you can override some out of the box capabilities, like titles of lists, these kind of things. So that's what one of the toggles that you had on the site that you
That
could
was
do.
in the advanced settings.
Exactly. But besides that, you know what? I think your users will want to focus on their preferred language through the UI. The content can be multilingual. You can have as many languages as you want. That drop down will follow you. And each something that maybe we did not mention, but each site can have its own default language.
Yeah.
So if you are a global organization and your team is working in French, well, it doesn't you don't have to create it in English. You can create it in French. An English user would land on the site. All the menus will be in English there, but the content would be in French. And if they want, they would be able to enable multilingual again over there and create pages in English if they want to follow on the discussion. But besides that, it's
I think
exactly how
there's
it is.
one other thing that I just remembered, and this is something I actually had to do on a recent project. How do you display content? Like, let's say you have a document library, then you have the English and the French. The best way that I found so far is let you add on your documents in the same document library, you can have like a language column, English and French, And then you can use the highlighted content web part to actually display the content and filter it by the language. And because remember, now the pages are separated, you can have different configurations, different filters on that highlighted content web part on the English and French side. This way you filter on the right languages. And I would also support audiencing in addition to uh, the language. So for me, it's awesome.
Absolutely. And something that we have seen also is depending on how the organization is set up, but sometimes people are creating groups to represent favorite languages. So if you're using groups plus you're using multilingual, well, you can actually add a French group or an English group and flag the content for these people, meaning that the French content will be in highlighted content web part would show up automatically, which is also another great way to do that.
Awesome. Well, I think then that's it for this video. Thank you very much for watching. If you have enjoyed, make sure you subscribe to the channel to stay up to date with really the latest awesome content for SharePoint Online and Microsoft 365. And for those of you following the series, in the next video, we will learn how to enable the organizational assets library for your intranet, which is a really cool small but really valuable feature in my opinion. Until then, thank you very much for watching.